The hostess smiles as she points me to the back table while the guest list trembles in her hand. The ballroom is already alive. Glass clinks a string quartet, tests a final note. Cameras hover at shoulder height, and the lights burn white enough to show every face, every calculation. I stand at the aisle where carpet meets polished floor, feeling the heat of the stage lamps and the quiet push of bodies wanting me to move. The folded guest list is pinched between the hostess's fingers, creased from use names hidden like cards in a sleeve. Right this way, she says, tone-syruped with apology. We'll make it work. The room's geometry is obvious even to a stranger center tables aligned with the podium outer rings, dissolving into shadow, the back row close enough to hear, but far enough to disappear. A server murmurs, "Excuse me," and I step aside, heels clicking once, twice, as if compliance were muscle memory. "I'm supposed to be at table 12, I say, careful to keep my voice level. She doesn't look down at the list. "We had to adjust," she replies. "It's a full house." Someone behind me laughs too loudly. A phone lifts, then lowers. "Adjust how I ask." "For flow," she says, "for sightlines." I glance at the clock above the bar, 7:41 p.m., and register the first constraint of the night speeches start at 8 doors close at 7:55, and nothing moves after that without permission. "You'll still enjoy the program," she adds, turning the folded pages inward so I can't see. The back table waits empty except for place cards turned face down, like cards in a losing hand. "We can't block the aisle," a man in a dark suit says from nowhere, his badge catching the light. "Please keep moving." I step, then stop, letting the pause stretch just long enough to be noticed. "Who made the adjustment?" I ask. The hostess's smile tightens. "It's operational," she says. "We follow the chart." A server whispers, "Sorry," and sets a water glass where I'm meant to sit, the ice cracking as if on cue. "Read it again," I say softly. "Read the line." She glances at the folded list, then away. "This is what we have," she answers. "Your seat is here." A woman at the nearest center table looks over, curiosity flickering before discipline clamps it shut. "I don't see my name," I say. "You don't need to," the hostess replies. "We see it." The list trembles again, a small betrayal of her control. "Say it again. Your title is host, not mine," I say, keeping my hands visible. "We don't do titles on the floor," she answers. "We do logistics." The man with the badge shifts his weight. "Ma'am," he says, "this is a live event." "Exactly," I reply. A low murmur ripples, then settles. "You're holding the list," I add. "If it's correct, show me." "I can't," she says. "Policy. Read the clause out loud," I say, nodding toward the room. The room should hear it. She exhales a breath meant to be invisible. "Please," she says, "take your seat." Another phone rises. A woman 2 tables over whispers, "What's happening?" The hostess angles her body, shielding the folded pages from the lenses. "We'll discuss it later," she says, "after the program." I glance at the podium, its glass top catching the light, and feel the shape of the evening locking into place. Later is after 8, I say. At 7:55 the doors close. The badge man interjects. "We're on a schedule." "So am I answer. "What time did you change the chart?" The hostess's jaw works. "Please don't do this," she says, finally dropping the smile. "Do what I ask. Stand where I was placed." She looks down, then up the list, clenched. "You're creating a disruption," she says. "I'm following your directions," I reply and take the chair she indicates the back table, scraping softly against the floor. The water glass sweats. The folded guest list rests on her forearm like a shield. I sit posture straight, eyes forward, the lights favoring everyone else. A waiter leans in. "Wine," he asks. "Later," I say. "Not yet." The quartet stops tuning. A hush slides across the room like a curtain being drawn. The lights don't dim, but the room tilts when exclusion is performed with a smile. I watch the hostess step away, the folded list tucked tight, and note the way she doesn't look back. The clock ticks to 7:46. 5 minutes vanish. A whisper moves table to table. "She's at the back," someone says. Why, another asks. The badge man stations himself by the aisle, eyes scanning, jaw set. "Everything okay?" he asks, not looking at me. It will be, I answer. I trace the rim of the glass, counting breaths, counting exits, counting the seconds until the doors close and choices harden. The stage lights hold steady, bright enough to expose every flinch, every lie waiting to be told, and I let the room learn the shape of my silence. I stay seated as the clock bleeds toward lock, and the folded list becomes a promise. I'm Elena Moore, 38, a philanthropy program director from Chicago, Illinois, and I arrive at the venue believing competence will protect me. Earlier that afternoon, the building feels different. Quiet procedural lit for preparation rather than performance, and I swipe a venue key card at the side entrance while staff stream past with clipboards and headsets. The keycard clicks green, then red, then green again, a tiny delay that makes me glance up at the camera dome and register how access is negotiated here in half seconds and silent permissions. "You're good," a staffer says without stopping. They're rehearsing. I step inside the air cooler, the light flatter, and tell myself this is just another gala with its predictable choreography, donors, glide, organizers, direct. Everyone pretends the plan is neutral. I check the preliminary seating board posted near the service corridor, names printed in neat columns, tables aligned like a map, and look for mine where it should be. It isn't there. That's odd, I say to no one, and then to a woman adjusting a floral arrangement. "Do you know where table 12 moved?" She smiles, polite but blank. "They're still finalizing," she says. It happens. I nod, trusting the explanation because trust is cheaper than suspicion, and I've learned to spend it early. A beam of clean stage light pours through the ballroom doors as they swing open, pooling where staff are told to stand, where compliance is expected and rewarded. "Please keep the aisle clear," a man with a badge says, gesturing. We're testing sightlines. I move, watching how easily people relocate when asked how the light seems to choose them. My phone vibrates 7:02 p.m., and I answer a text from a colleague asking if I need anything. "All set," I type, and mean it in the narrow sense that I have no reason yet to doubt the machine. At the bar, a server lines up glasses ice chiming, and I overhear a low exchange. "She's confirmed. She's on the list." "Which one?" "The one that matters." I pretend not to hear. "We'll seat late arrivals after doors close." Someone says behind me, "At 7:55, I file the time away." "Who signed off?" another voice asks. Victoria comes, the answer crisp. I don't know the name yet, only the tone, final, confident, unbothered. I wander the perimeter, noting exits, noting how the doors latch with a soft metal sound that feels heavier than it should. A volunteer hands me a program. "Welcome," she says. "We're so glad you're here." "Me too," I reply, and mean it still. The stage lights warm, then dim, then warm again as technicians calibrate. "Test, test!" a voice booms, and laughter follows. "We're live in 3, someone calls. I check the board again. My name appears now penciled lightly at the bottom of a column, a placement that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. "Excuse me," I say to the same woman with the flowers. "Was this just added?" She glances then away. "Last-minute adjustments," she says. Flow for what I ask. For the room, she answers and straightens a stem that was already straight. A man with a headset steps in. "Ma'am, we need the corridor clear." Of course, I say, stepping back into the wash of light where staff stand waiting for instructions. The light feels clean, impartial, as if it belongs to no one and everyone at once. "You're with donors?" the man asks. "Yes," I say. "Then you'll be fine," he replies, already moving on. I watch him disappear into the ballroom and feel the first small tug of unease, the sense that the plan is a moving target and I am not the one aiming. My phone buzzes again, 7:18 p.m., and I slip the keycard back into my clutch, its edge cool against my fingers. Doors close at 7:55, a voice repeats somewhere. I look once more at the board, at the penciled line that now claims me, and tell myself not to read meaning into graphite. "Enjoy the evening," the volunteer says again, earnest. "I intend to," I reply, smiling, because smiles are the currency of entry, and I still believe mine will be accepted. Light pools where they expect obedience. I follow the flow toward the ballroom, trusting the process, because I have been invited, because the card clicked green, because nothing has happened yet to prove otherwise. By the time the lights finish warming, my name has already been moved once quietly without asking. By the time I slipped into the service corridor, the Gala's polish thinned into utility, and the air smelled faintly of toner and citrus cleaner. It was still past tense in my head, the memory already arranging itself, but the pressure felt immediate. A clipboard with an incident log hung from a hook by the catering office, its metal clip scarred pages dog-eared from constant use. I had a reason to be there, at least one that sounded reasonable. "I'm looking for ops," I said to a runner hustling past with linen napkins. "Marcus." He nodded without slowing. "Back office. 2 minutes." The clock above the ice machine read 7:33 p.m. Doors close at 7:55. Constraint logged. I took the clipboard down the weight familiar and flipped to the latest page as if I belonged. "You can't take that?" a voice said behind me. "I'm not," I replied, turning the board so it faced the wall. "I'm reading it." The runner glanced, then shrugged. "Make it fast." I scanned entries, delivery notes, mic checks, seating tweaks until a line snagged my eye. Table adjustments logged at 7:14 p.m., ref code SL9C, authorized by VH, with a note late arrival compression. Another line followed at 7:21 p.m., ref code SL9C, again location ballroom perimeter, with a scribble I recognized as a cover your bases flourish. My name appeared where it hadn't before, pencil overwritten and pen arrowed to back. I felt the shift then, the moment when uncertainty turns into structure. "Who signed this?" I asked, not looking up. Victoria Marcus said, stepping into view, headset tilted. "Why?" "Because it's here," he replied. "That's not an answer." I said, "It's the only one I can give." "Read the time," I said, tapping the page. 7:14. "Yes." "I was inside at 7:02, I said. "The board was clean." "Things change," he said. "They didn't," I replied. "They were changed." He exhaled. "You're not supposed to see that." "Then don't hang it on a hook," I said, flipping the board back and returning it to the wall. A woman from catering paused. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Marcus said too quickly. "We're on a schedule." I nodded. "So am I." My phone buzzed 7:36 p.m. and a text from an unknown number read, "Please return to the floor. Say it again, your title is Ops, not mine," I said quietly. "You don't get to decide where I sit without a record." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Your badge is blue," he said, pointing at my lanyard. "Mine is cleared. Don't pretend. Read the clause out loud," I said. "The room should hear it." He glanced toward the corridor entrance. "Not here." "Then where I asked." He lowered his voice. "After doors close." "At 7:55, I said. "Convenient." The catering woman shifted, pretending to sort trays. "You didn't log the first move," I added. "You logged the cover." Marcus looked at the page again, then at me. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said. "You made it deliberate," I replied. "That's harder." He leaned closer. "If you push, you'll be the disruption," he said. "If I don't," I answered, "you'll be the author." A runner called Marcus from the ballroom. "Coming," he said then to me. "Put it back." I hung the clipboard precisely where it had been, aligning the edge with the hook, and stepped away. The clock ticked to 7:38 p.m. I walked back toward the lights, the incident log's lines replaying in my head, with their small, damning details, time of day stamps, a repeated ref code, the same hand correcting itself twice. On the floor, the quartet began a soft run-through. "Everything settled?" the hostess asked as I approached. "You tell me," I said. "We followed the chart," she replied. "Which one?" I asked. "The current one," she said. "There's only one," I said, "and it says you changed it at 7:14. Her smile faltered. "You shouldn't have access to that," she said. "I shouldn't need it," I replied. "Please take your seat," she said, voice cooling. "We're about to start." A donor leaned in from a nearby table. "Is there a problem?" "No," the hostess said. "Yes," I said. "There is." The badge man appeared again. "Ma'am, he said we can't have this conversation here, then have it where it was recorded," I replied. He frowned. "Recorded logged," I corrected. With time. The hostess's eyes flicked toward the service corridor, then back to me. You're creating confusion, she said. I'm clarifying it, I answered. A phone lifted. Another followed. Let's not do this, she whispered. We already did, I said, and felt the floor tilt as the truth found its balance. The log didn't accuse anyone. It proved intention by repeating the same code twice. The quartet stopped. Ladies and gentlemen, a voice boomed, we'll begin shortly. I took the back chair again when she indicated it, the scrape quieter this time, the room listening. Enjoy the evening, she said through her teeth. I will, I replied, meeting her gaze. The clock hit 7:41 p.m., 14 minutes until lock. People whispered, eyes darting between the podium and the back table. Marcus stood near the aisle headset, angled, not looking at me. I sat still, hands folded, the incident log's numbers burning brighter than the lights, and waited for the schedule to test its own truth. I don't move as the minutes thin because the log already chose its side. The gala floor feels different once the room knows it's being watched. The lights are brighter than before, or maybe my eyes have adjusted, but every face reads clearly now, interest disguised as politeness, irritation tucked behind smiles. I step back into the aisle just as a wireless microphone squeals and settles the sound, snapping conversations into order. A volunteer taps the mic. Testing 1, 2. Phones lift instinctively. The podium waits glass top, reflecting the stage lights in a clean line that cuts the room in half. Please take your seats, the hostess says, voice amplified, and her hand gestures outward like she's directing traffic. I don't move. The clock above the bar reads 7:49 p.m. 6 minutes until doors close. Ma'am, the badge man says under his breath, this is a live feed. I know, I answer, eyes on the mic. That's why I'm here. He looks toward the hostess. She nods once, almost imperceptibly, and lifts the microphone herself. We had to make a small adjustment, she announces, smiling as if the word were harmless. We're grateful for everyone's flexibility. A ripple of laughter follows, thin and nervous. Read the reason, I say, projecting without raising my voice. The hostess's smile freezes. Excuse me, read the reason, I repeat. For the adjustment. We're on a tight schedule, she says into the mic. We'll proceed. She lowers the mic, then brings it back up her thumb, grazing the switch. This isn't the time, she adds softly. Forgetting the mic is live. The room hears it anyway. A few heads turn. What time was the change made, I ask. She doesn't answer. At 7:14 p.m., I continue. Logged. Ref code SL9C. The badge man shifts, blocking sightlines. Please, he says, not here. Where the mic is, I reply, where the record lives. The hostess laughs lightly into the microphone. Sometimes lists change, she says. We all understand that. Then say who changed it, I say. Say it out loud. A donor near the front murmurs, is this part of the program? Another whispers, what's happening? The hostess's hand tightens on the mic. We can discuss this later, she says, after doors close. At 7:55, I say, convenient. She angles the mic away, but her last sentence lingers in the speakers. We can't have disruptions. The word lands heavier than she intends. A phone camera zooms. Your badge is blue, I say, pointing to the man beside her. Mine is guest. Don't pretend those are equal. The crowd inhales as one. Ma'am, the badge man says into his own lapel. I need ops. Marcus appears at the edge of the light headset, glinting. Marcus, I say, confirm the log. He hesitates. We're live, he says. Exactly, I reply. The hostess cuts in. Marcus, please, she says, mic raised. He clears his throat. There was an adjustment, he says, voice catching the sound system. For flow. When I ask, he glances at the clock. 7:14, he says. A murmur ripples, then stills. Who authorized it, I ask. Victoria. He answers, eyes on the floor. The hostess turns sharply. That's enough, she snaps into the mic, then too late remembers it's on. The word cracks through the speakers. When her unmuted mic captures the order, she denies the room finally hears the truth breathe. Someone laughs short, startled, then stops. Read the clause out loud, I say. The room should hear it. There is no clause, she says. There is a log, I reply. With time. The badge man steps forward. We're going to pause, he says, voice calm. Please lower the microphone. The hostess lowers it, then raises it again, trying to recover. We appreciate your patience, she says brightly. Let's focus on why we're here. Why I'm here, I say, is on that log. She turns the mic off. The speakers go silent. The absence of sound is louder than the feedback was. Phones remain raised. We'll proceed, she says without amplification. Seat assignments are final. They weren't. I answer. They were edited. Marcus looks between us. We should take this backstage, he says. After doors close, I say, No, he replies. Now. The hostess's eyes flash. This is my floor, she says. For 6 more minutes, I answer, nodding at the clock. Then it belongs to the record. A donor stands. If there's an issue, he says we should hear it. Another nods. Transparency, someone adds. The hostess's smile returns brittle. Please enjoy your evening, she says, stepping back, mic off. The quartet waits, bows poised. The clock ticks to 7:52 p.m. 3 minutes. Marcus, I say, where's the audio? He swallows. The mic feed records automatically, he says, with timestamps. Then save it, I reply. Ref code SL9C. He nods once. I'll secure it, he says. The badge man murmurs into his lapel again. Ops confirmed, he says. The hostess watches him, then me recalculating. This isn't over, she says quietly. No, I reply. It's on. The lights don't dim. The room doesn't breathe. The podium gleams empty and expectant. I take my seat again at the back, not because I'm told to, but because I choose the vantage point where witnesses gather courage. The clock hits 7:54 p.m. 1 minute. Conversations resume in whispers, every sentence clipped by curiosity. The hostess retreats 2 steps, mic clutched to her chest like a shield. Marcus stands under the lights headset askew, eyes fixed on nothing. I fold my hands and watch the doors, feeling the latch in my bones as time narrows. With 1 minute left before lock, the recording becomes a witness no one can dismiss. After the applause that never comes, the room exhales in fragments. Conversations restart carefully like engines tested at idle, and the quartet pretends nothing happened by retuning strings that were already tuned. I slip away from the floor while the hostess regains her smile, and the badge man stations himself near the doors, posture announcing control restored. The corridor behind the ballroom is cooler, quieter, lit by fluorescents that flatten faces and strip away pretense. Dana Whitfield is waiting near the freight elevator tablet tucked under her arm, expression neutral enough to pass as staff. 7:58 is the next hard stop, she says, checking the time, 7:56 p.m. without greeting. Doors are locked. Anything we do now leaves a mark. Good, I say. We need a clean one. She nods once and produces a sealed legal envelope from her bag, thick paper crisp edges, the kind that signals consequence before it's opened. Draft notice, she says. Prepared earlier. Time-stamped. She tilts the envelope so I can see the corner stamp 7:22 p.m. and a short reference code beneath it. Earlier than the mic, I note. Earlier than the denial, she replies, which means intent. I take the envelope and feel its weight settle the argument in my hands. Cost, I ask. Escalation, she says. No quiet fix. There wasn't one, I reply. A door opens at the end of the corridor and closes again, footsteps passing. Dana lowers her voice. If you serve this now, you're not just contesting a seat. You're alleging procedural manipulation in a permitted event. And if I don't, then the story dies in the noise, she says. I glance at the clock, 7:59 p.m., and feel the evening compress. Who else knows, I ask. Ops saved the audio, she says. Metadata intact. But paper matters. It always does, I reply. I slide a finger under the envelope's flap, then stop. Not yet, I say. Dana studies me. You're sure I want the break to be theirs, I say. Not mine. She nods. We'll log service when you say. A man in a tuxedo steps into the corridor phone pressed to his ear. "We'll talk later," he murmurs, eyes flicking to us. "Later is a luxury," Dana says under her breath. "So is ignorance," I reply. The hostess appears at the corridor, mouth smile reassembled. "There you are," she says brightly. "We're about to start speeches." "We already did," I say. Her smile tightens. "Let's keep things pleasant," she says. "Read the clause out loud," I answer. "The room should hear it. This isn't the place," she says. "It's the process," I reply, "and it's documented." Her eyes drop to the envelope, then lift, anger flashing before discipline returns. "You're making a mistake," she says. "I'm naming one," I reply. She steps closer, voice low. "Your badge is blue," she says. "Mine decides." Dana interjects, calm. "Actually," she says, "the permit decides, and the permit requires accurate logs." The hostess straightens. "Are you threatening me?" "We're notifying," Dana replies. "There's a difference." The hostess laughs softly. "You don't have proof," she says. "We have time," I answer, tapping the envelope. "And sequence." The hostess's phone buzzes. She glances at it, then back at us. "This ends tonight," she says. "It already did," I reply. "You just haven't read it." She turns and walks back toward the ballroom, heels sharp against tile. Dana exhales. "She'll try to spin," she says. "Let her," I reply. "Paper doesn't spin." The elevator dings. "Next step," Dana asks. I check the clock, 8:02 p.m., and imagine the stage lights warming again, the podium waiting. "We wait," I say. Then we bind the log to the light. Dana slips the envelope back into her bag, eyes steady. "Say it again," she says quietly. "What your goal?" I meet her gaze. "To make the room honest," I say. She nods. We stand in the corridor as speeches begin, applause muffled by walls, the envelope sealed and patient between us. The draft doesn't accuse. It proves the lie by existing before the denial. A volunteer hurries past, whispering into a headset. "They're asking for ops," she says. Dana raises an eyebrow. "Clock pressure," she murmurs. "Good," I reply. "Let it work." The corridor light hums. The elevator doors close. The gala proceeds on schedule, but the schedule no longer belongs to them. I don't open the envelope yet because the break will land harder when it's served. The room changes character when someone touches the controls. Not visibly at first, no gasp, no overt shift, but the temperature of attention moves toward the stage as if pulled by a magnet. I stand at the edge of the ballroom with Dana, while the host thanks sponsors, his cadence smooth, practiced eyes never leaving the teleprompter glow. The projector remote rests in my palm, matte plastic warm from the lights, a small thing carrying a disproportionate amount of leverage. "We have a window," Dana murmurs, checking her watch. 8:11 p.m., then glancing toward the tech table where a laptop hums under the screen. 2 minutes before the next video. "That's enough," I say. The projector fan kicks, then settles, and the screen brightens to a neutral slate. "Who's on projection?" I ask. "Freelancer," Dana says. "Contracted tonight." "Name?" "Doesn't matter," she replies. "Logs do." A technician approaches, headset loose, eyes flicking between the podium and us. "We're queued," he says. "Hold," I reply. "I need to confirm a file." "We're live," he says. "We always are," I answer. "Show me the cue." He hesitates. "Policy," he says. "Read the clause out loud," Dana says calmly. "The room should hear it." The tech swallows. "Okay," he says, swiveling the laptop. The screen lists files, timestamps marching down the column like soldiers. I lean in the remote heavy now and point. "That one," I say. "When was it created?" He squints. 7/22, he says. "Ref tag PRJ4M." Dana nods. "And when was it last modified?" 7:36, he answers. "Location ballroom controller." I glance at the clock, 8:13 p.m., and feel the click of sequence snapping into place. "What's the file name?" I ask. He clears his throat. "Seating adjustment final. Final before denial," Dana says softly. The tech looks up. You don't need to," I reply. "The metadata does." He rubs his forehead. "We were told to prep," he says. "By whom, Victoria?" He answers, then winces. "Say it again. Your title is tech, not hers," I say. "You prep what you're told." I just follow the cue, he says. Then don't pretend the cue is neutral, Dana adds. The host's voice booms through the speakers. Applause rises, then fades. The next segment is minutes away. We can't derail the program, the tech says. We can align it, I reply. Save a copy of the metadata. I can export a still, he says. Timestamp and device ID, Dana asks. Yes, he says. Masked serial. Do it, she says. He taps keys, the fan whirs, and a still appears. Timestamp 7:36 p.m. Device controller, C17 location ballroom. Evidence with bones. Email it, I say. To her, I nod at Dana. And me. He types, hands shaking. If this gets out, it already did, I say. You just don't hear it yet. The host announces a video. The screen flickers. I keep the remote in my hand thumb, resting where a click would change everything. Don't, the tech says quietly. I won't, I reply. Not yet. Dana leans close. This binds, she whispers. Log to light. I nod. The projector warms, bathing the room in white clarity. The brighter the room, the harder it is to hide. A donor near the front cranes his neck. Phones lift again, sensing something. The hostess stands rigid by the aisle, smile, lacquered eyes darting to the tech table. Everything set, she mouths. The tech nods too fast. We need to move, Dana says. Now. We step back as the video rolls, applause, cresting on cue. I release a breath I didn't know I was holding. What's next, I ask. Pressure, Dana replies. We cede authority. Already did I say, showing her my phone, an unsent draft addressed to the compliance liaison subject line. Neutral attachments queued. Good, she says. Clock pressure climbs. The hostess approaches, voice low. You think you're clever, she says. You think a file proves anything. It proves preparation, I reply. And timing. Timing isn't guilt, she snaps. It's sequence, Dana says. Courts like it. The hostess laughs, brittle. This is a gala, she says, not a courtroom. Not yet, I reply. She leans in. You'll embarrass the host, she says. He'll survive, I answer. The permit might not. Her eyes flick to the exits. You're threatening us, she says. We're documenting, Dana replies. There's a difference. The host thanks another sponsor. Applause. The tech table glows. I need that still again, Dana says to the tech, who nods, sending a duplicate. Keep your head down, I tell him. I plan to, he says. The hostess retreats, tapping her phone. She's calling, Dana says. Let her, I reply. Calls leave traces. A waiter passes, whispering, Is everything okay? It will be, I say, when the light finishes its work. The clock ticks to 8:19 p.m. The next segment cues. The remote rests back on the table, its job done for now. Dana checks her messages. Authority acknowledged, she says. On standby. I nod once, feeling the floor steady under my feet as the evidence locks into the story's spine. When the metadata refuses to match the denial, the stage becomes a witness. Pressure doesn't arrive loudly. It seeps in through exits and clocks. By 8:27 p.m., the gala has found its rhythm again, applause landing where its cued laughter released on schedule, and the crowd convincing itself that whatever flickered earlier has been resolved. I know better. Dana stands half a step behind me near the tech table, posture casual, eyes counting angles. My phone vibrates with a message marked, Delivered. Then another marked, Seen, both from the compliance liaison, whose name carries weight without spectacle. On standby, Dana whispers, showing me her screen. No promises, just acknowledgement, time-stamped, 8:25 p.m. Authority ceded. The object in my hand now is a time-stamped CCTV still printed thin and glossy from the ops office edges, warm from the printer. It shows a doorway I recognize, a badge color that shouldn't be there, and a time that refuses to line up with the story we've been told. 7:16 p.m. Badge amber corridor camera, C3 location tagged service wing. This doesn't match, Dana says softly. It never does, I reply. We step aside as a server passes. Excuse me, she murmurs. Thank you, Dana replies, pleasant. The hostess watches us from across the room, phone pressed to her ear, nodding as if reassurance were contagious. "She's calling upstairs," Dana says, trying to preempt. "Calls leave traces," I answer. "So do stills." The badge man approaches, hands clasped. "We're hearing concerns," he says. "We want to keep the evening smooth." "Then keep the record accurate," I reply, holding the still at chest height without waving it. He glances at it, then away. "That's internal," he says. "So is the permit," Dana replies, "which is why accuracy matters." He clears his throat. "If there's an issue, it should be addressed after." "After doors close," I ask. "They already did." The host's laughter booms from the stage. Applause follows. "We don't want a scene," the badge man says. "Scenes happen," I reply. "Records endure." He shifts uncomfortable. "Who gave you that?" he asks. "Ops," I answer. "When earlier," I say. "At 8:14. Read the time." Dana adds, tapping the printed stamp. He squints. 7:16, he says. "Badge amber," I continue. "That badge belongs to who?" He hesitates. "Facilities," he says. "And who was assigned facilities at 7:16? He looks past us to the hostess, who stiffens. "Victoria?" he says finally. The hostess ends her call and strides over, smile sharpened to a blade. "This is harassment," she says. "You're collecting scraps and calling them proof." "Read the clause out loud," I reply. "The room should hear it." "Not here," she snaps. "Where the cameras are," I answer, nodding at the ceiling domes. "They're always listening." She laughs, brittle. "You think a still means anything. It means sequence," Dana says. "It means someone with the wrong badge was in the right place at the wrong time." "You're twisting it," the hostess says. "We're aligning it," I reply. A donor nearby leans in, curiosity overriding etiquette. "Is there a problem?" he asks. "No," the hostess says too quickly. "Yes," I say calmly. "There's a discrepancy." The donor frowns. "About what access?" Dana says. "And timing." The donor nods slowly. "Those matter," he says, stepping back. Phones lift again. The hostess lowers her voice. "You're embarrassing yourself," she says. "Keep smiling. Your email header is on the screen," Dana replies softly, not pointing, just stating. The hostess freezes. "What email?" she asks. "The one that assigns facilities coverage," Dana says. "We have the still that matches it." The hostess's eyes dart to the tech table, then to the exits. "You don't have that," she says. "We don't need it yet," I reply. "We have time." The clock reads 8:33 p.m. A volunteer rushes up. "Ops needs you," she whispers to the hostess. "Now." The hostess nods, then to us. "This isn't over." "No," I reply. "It's narrowing." She strides away, heel-sharp phone already dialing. Dana exhales. "Witness moment," she says. "Not public yet, but close." "Good," I answer. "Let it breathe." The badge man lingers. "If this escalates," he says, "there will be consequences." For whom I ask. He doesn't answer. The host introduces the next segment. Applause. The still in my hand feels heavier, its time-stamp darker under the lights. I tuck it into my clutch, not hiding it, just securing it. "Next move," Dana asks. "We wait for her mistake," I reply, "and keep the door latched." She nods. The lights hold steady, white and unforgiving, and the room resumes its practiced cheer while the clock climbs toward the moment when standby becomes arrival. When the still exposes the wrong badge at the right minute, the trap tightens without a sound. The reversal doesn't announce itself. It slips in on a breath and stays. At 8:41 p.m., while the host thanks another sponsor and the room applauds on cue, I feel the shift when the audio recorder warms in my hand. It's small, black, anonymous, easy to mistake for a phone battery, but it holds a voice that shouldn't exist. Dana watches the aisle, then the exits, then the hostess who has returned with a new calm that feels practiced. "She thinks she reset the board," Dana murmurs. "She thinks calls fix things." "They leave tracks," I reply. The recorder's red light blinks once, steady, not recording now, but remembering. When Dana asks, 7:12, I say, "Service wing." "Before the log," she says. "Before the denial," I answer. A waiter passes with champagne flutes. Careful, he whispers, eyes flicking to the tech table. Always, I reply. The hostess approaches, smile, soft voice low. Let's talk privately, she says. We are, I answer, tapping the recorder. Her eyes narrow. That's illegal, she says. Read the clause out loud, Dana replies. The room should hear it. The hostess scoffs. You don't have consent. Venue policy includes operational recording, Dana says. You signed it. The hostess's mouth opens, then closes. You're bluffing, she says. Play it, I reply. She laughs brittle. You won't. Not yet, I say, because timing matters. The host's voice swells. Applause rises again. The recorder hums patient. What do you want, the hostess asks, irritation leaking through the polish. Accuracy, I say. And sequence. You already embarrassed us, she snaps. You embarrassed yourself, Dana says. The file did the rest. The hostess glances toward the exits. You think a voice changes anything, she says. It changes who decided, I reply. And when? I slide the recorder closer to Dana, who checks the file list, time of day stamp, 7:12 p.m., location tag service wing, ref AR2K. It's clean, she whispers. Masked ID, cost, I ask. Exposure, she says. Public. Good, I reply. The hostess's phone buzzes. She answers, turns away. Yes, she says. Now? She listens, face tightening. No, she says. Not yet. She ends the call and faces us. You're out of line, she says. This ends tonight. It does, I reply. On record. A donor nearby pretends to examine a centerpiece, listening anyway. Is something wrong? He asks lightly. No, the hostess says. Yes, I say. There's a recording. The donor's eyebrows lift, phones tilt. Of what, he asks. Instructions that contradict the log, Dana says. And the mic. The hostess steps closer. If you play that, she hisses, you'll ruin the evening. The evening will survive, I reply. The permit might not. She flinches. You wouldn't, she says. We would, Dana answers. The host announces a brief intermission. People stand, chatter rising. Now, Dana says, before the noise. We move toward the tech table as bodies shift the recorder hidden in plain sight. We can route it through the system, the tech whispers, eyes wide. It'll stamp the feed. Do it, I say. But not yet. He nods, hands hovering. The hostess blocks us, arms out. Stop, she says. This is my floor. For seconds, I reply, nodding at the clock, 8:44 p.m. Then it's the records. She laughs, shaking her head. You think a tape wins? I think sequence does, I answer. Dana's phone vibrates. Authority confirmed, she whispers. 2 minutes out. The hostess hears the word and stiffens. Authority, she says. Who? Not your call, Dana replies. The host claps for attention. Please enjoy refreshments, he says. The room hums. I feel the recorder's weight anchor my resolve. When the off-book instruction exists before the paperwork, the lie collapses inward. The hostess's composure fractures just enough. You can't prove I said that, she says. We don't need to, I reply. Your timing does. The tech looks at me, waiting. I shake my head. Hold, I say. Let her speak again. She does. If you play anything she says too loudly, forgetting where she is, I'll have you removed. Phones lift. The room quiets. Dana meets my eyes. That's it, she says. Route, I reply. The tech's finger hovers. The recorder remains silent for one more heartbeat, gathering the room's attention like a held breath. I don't press play yet, because the reversal works best when everyone is already listening. The moment before a corner closes is always quieter than you expect. Intermission chatter swells and then thins as people drift back toward their tables, cups clinking, shoulders angling for vantage points. I stand near the tech table with Dana, the USB drive sealed in a clear evidence bag resting against my wrist like a countdown you can feel. Inside it is the chain, the emails, the log exports, the metadata stills stitched together by timestamps that refuse to argue with one another. If we mount this, the tech whispers, it'll mirror to the system archive. Do it, Dana says. but wait for my nod. The hostess paces near the aisle phone pressed to her ear, voice clipped. "No," she says. I said no. She hangs up and turns toward us, smile gone. "You've had your fun," she says. "Hand it over." What I ask. "The drive," she says, pointing. "You can't possess internal materials." "Read the clause out loud," I reply. "The room should hear it." She scoffs. "You're stalling." "We're sequencing," Dana says. There's a difference. The host steps back to the podium, tapping the mic. "We'll resume in 30 seconds, he announces. The lights brighten a notch clean and unforgiving. The clock above the bar reads 8:49 p.m. Last chance, the hostess says, stepping closer. "If this goes public, you'll regret it." "Regret requires ambiguity," I reply. "You remove that." She laughs sharply. "You think a flash drive scares me?" "It scares the timeline," Dana says, "because it shows authorship." The hostess's eyes flick to the bag. "What's on it?" she asks. "Your sequence," I answer. "From 7:12 to 7:36. "That's nothing," she says. "Then say it again," I reply. "Say who changed the seating and when." She opens her mouth, then closes it. A donor nearby leans in. "Is everything okay?" he asks. "Yes," the hostess says too quickly. "No," I say calmly. "There's a discrepancy in access logs." The donor frowns. "Those matter," he says. Phones lift. "You're forcing a scene," the hostess hisses. "Scenes happen," I reply. "Records endure." The badge man approaches, posture rigid. "We need to clear this area," he says. "For safety. For clarity," Dana corrects. "Stand by." He hesitates, then speaks into his lapel. "Hold," he says. The host glances back confused. "What's going on?" he asks lightly. "Nothing yet," I reply. "But something is about to be proven." The hostess lunges, reaching for the bag. "Don't the tech," says, stepping between us. "That's evidence. Since when she snaps." "Since it was logged," Dana says. The hostess freezes. "Logged where?" "Everywhere," I answer. Dana nods to the tech. He mounts the USB finger steady, now confidence replacing fear. "Mirroring," he whispers. "Archive locked." The hostess's face drains of color. "You can't do this," she says. "We just did," I reply. The host clears his throat at the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," he begins. "One moment," Dana says, raising a hand without looking at him. The room hushes, startled by the interruption. "There's a procedural matter," Dana continues, voice even. "It will take less than a minute." The hostess shakes her head. "This is outrageous," she says. "You're accusing me without proof. We're presenting sequence," Dana replies. "Proof follows." I lift the bag just enough for the lights to catch it. 7:12, I say. Instruction recorded. 7:14, Dana adds. Seating log edited. 7:22, I continue. Projector file created. 7:36, Dana finishes. Metadata modified. The host's smile falters. "Victoria," he says quietly. "What is this?" "Nothing," she says too fast. "It's an attack." "Read the clause out loud," I say. "The room should hear it." She stares at the floor. The clock ticks to 8:52 p.m. The badge man speaks into his lapel again. "Stand by," he says. "Authority inbound." The hostess looks up sharply. "Authority," she repeats. "Who called?" "The record did," Dana says. The room buzzes. Phones are fully raised now, lenses steady. "You're doing this for attention," the hostess says to me, desperation leaking through. "I did this for accuracy," I reply. Attention followed. The host swallows. "We should pause," he says. "We are," Dana replies. The tech nods. Archive confirms, he whispers. "No deletion." The hostess's shoulders slump, then square. "Fine," she says. "Play whatever you have." In a moment, I reply. When the witness arrives, the clock reads 8:54 p.m. The doors at the back of the ballroom shift as security adjusts, making a lane no one asked for. I meet Dana's eyes. "Now she's cornered," she says. "Good," I reply. Corners tell the truth. With the chain mirrored and nowhere left to push it, the sequence seals her exit. The room knows before it understands. At 8:56 p.m., the lights along the ceiling brighten to a clean white, and the glass podium at center stage throws back a precise reflection that cuts the ballroom into before and after. The host stands there, hands resting on the clear surface, eyes flicking from me to Dinah to the lane security has quietly opened at the rear. Phones are no longer raised discreetly. They're steady, deliberate, their owners braced. Ladies and gentlemen, the host begins, voice thinner than before. We're going to pause. For clarity, Dana says, stepping forward. 30 seconds. The hostess takes a sharp breath. You can't hijack the stage, she says. We're not, I reply. The record is. The tech nods at me. I nod back. Route the audio, I say. He taps once. The speakers hum, then a voice fills the room. Calm directive unmistakable. Move her to the back, the recording says. Before 7:15, update the chart and prep projection. A murmur ripples like a dropped glass. The hostess lunges for the podium mic. That's fabricated, she says. Out of context. Dana lifts her hand. Timestamp, she says. The tech overlays the still, 7:12 p.m. service wing, ref AR2K. Then another image appears, the seating log entry at 7:14 p.m. ref SL9C, and then the projector metadata at 7:22 p.m. The room inhales, then holds it. The host's face drains of color. Victoria, he says softly. Is this accurate? The hostess opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. Read the clause out loud. I say, my voice carrying without strain. The room should hear it. She shakes her head. This is a setup, she says finally. They're manipulating files. Sequence doesn't manipulate, Dana replies. It corroborates. The tech flips to the archive confirmation, mirrored, locked, masked serials visible. No edits, he says. System verified. Someone laughs short and stunned. Another whispers, wow. The witness wave moves exactly as it always does. Laughter, silence, separation as people lean away from the hostess, as if distance could absolve them. Please, she says, turning to the host, we can handle this privately. We are in public, I reply. That's the point. The doors at the back open. A woman in a neutral suit steps into the lane, badge glinting under the lights. Event compliance, she says clearly. I'm here regarding a permit inquiry. The badge man nods and steps aside. The compliance officer waits, hands folded, not yet acting. Authority present, not engaged. Dana turns back to the room. Final confirmation, she says. Witnesses heard the instruction. Records show the changes. The permit requires accurate logs. The compliance officer nods once. Proceed, she says. The tech brings the mic live again. The hostess reaches for it, then stops, seeing the phones, the officer. The host's hand tightening on the podium. Say it. I tell her, not unkindly. Say who decided and when. She swallows. I made a judgment, she says, voice shaking through the speakers. For flow. A gasp. At 7:12, Dana adds, before any denial. The hostess nods, eyes wet. Yes. The room exhales. When the proof plays in full view and the badge steps forward only after the truth lands without noise, the compliance officer steps to the podium. Thank you, she says. We'll need copies of the records. Already prepared, Dana replies, handing over a sealed packet. The officer scans it. We'll continue this after the event, she says. For now, I'm issuing a procedural hold. The host nods, stunned. Of course, he says. The hostess looks at me, something like disbelief crossing her face. You could have asked, she says weakly. I did, I reply. You logged the answer. The officer turns to her. Please step with me, she says. The hostess hesitates, then follows, heels echoing. Phones track the movement. The witness wave breaks into whispers. Is she leaving? Looks like it. Wow. The host clears his throat. We'll take a brief pause, he says. Please remain seated. The officer stops at the aisle. The event may continue, she says, loud enough for the room. The record will not. The tech kills the feed. The lights hold steady. I step back from the podium, hands empty now, feeling the floor level beneath me. The compliance officer nods once at Dana, then at me, and exits with the hostess through the lane. The doors close softly. The room sits in the quiet that follows a bell you can't unring. As the glass podium clears and authority turns away, the room learns who it has been watching all along. Consequences arrive quietly, the way systems prefer them. The gala resumes on its rails, applause, recued music, softened donors settling back into their chairs, but the room has been reprogrammed. The hard copy notice letter appears 10 minutes later, delivered without ceremony by the badge man, whose posture has changed from enforcement to compliance. He hands it to the host first, then to Dana, then after a glance at the phones still hovering to me. The paper is thick, official, unmistakable, the letterhead crisp enough to cut through denial. Procedural, hold the host reads under his breath, effective immediately. He looks up, swallowing. Of course, he says aloud, voice steadying as he finds his professional mask again. Will comply. Dana nods once. Receipt acknowledged, she says, tapping the time, 9:07 p.m. into her tablet. The badge man clears his throat. We'll need to adjust staffing, he says. That's already in motion, Dana replies. The absence of the hostess is a presence in itself. Conversations tilt away from the aisle she exited through, eyes tracking the empty space like a bruise you don't touch. Is she coming back? Someone whispers. No, another answers. Not tonight. The host steps to the podium, hands firm on the glass. Thank you for your patience, he says. We're continuing with the program. The lights remain clean and honest, no dimming to soothe nerves. A donor near the front leans toward me. That was something, he says. Accuracy usually is, I reply. He nods, considering. You did the right thing, he says, then looks away as if admitting it costs him something. The letter's text is brief, procedural, devastating in its simplicity. Failure to maintain accurate logs, immediate review, pending conditions attached. No adjectives, no blame, just sequence and remedy. Dana folds a copy and slides it into her bag. This triggers a review window, she murmurs. 48 hours. Plenty, I say. The tech approaches, eyes bright with relief. Archive confirmed, he whispers. Redundant. Good, Dana replies. You did your job. He nods, shoulders loosening. Applause swells again as an award is announced, the sound now layered with aftershocks, whispers, glances, recalibrations. People who avoided eye contact earlier seek it. Now tentative smiles, offered like peace treaties. Can I get you anything, a server asks. Water, I say. Thank you. The glass arrives, condensation cold against my palm. The badge man returns, voice lower. For what it's worth, he says, you were right. For what it's worth, I reply, the record was. He nods and steps away. The host's cadence finds its groove again, professional muscle memory smoothing the evening's edges. But the room has shifted. Proximity to the stage no longer signals power, so much as exposure. People sit straighter. Phones stay down, then up again, capturing a calmer truth. Dana checks her messages. Compliance log departure, she says. Escort complete. Thank you, I reply. This part's theirs now. She smiles faintly. You kept it clean. I glance at the letter one more time, then set it face down on the table, not hiding it, just letting it rest. When consequences arrive on paper instead of applause, the room accepts them without argument. The award winner thanks donors. The quartet resumes. Laughter returns lighter now earned. I feel no triumph, only alignment, the sense that a system corrected itself because it had to, not because it wanted to. A woman at a nearby table raises her glass toward me, subtle. I nod back, equally subtle. The lights hold steady. The night moves on. Justice doesn't cheer. It signs timestamps and proceeds. The lights feel different when I step back into them, not warmer or brighter, just steadier, as if the room has decided what it's willing to show. I'm in the present again, standing where the aisle opens toward the stage, the bright stage spotlight finally doing what it's meant to do, hold not hunt. The gala is nearly over. Dessert plates are cleared. Conversations soften into exit plans, and the glass podium reflects faces that no longer pretend not to recognize me. I watch people look, then not look, then look again, recalibrating their memories so the night makes sense to them. Someone laughs softly at a joke I don't hear. A donor, thanks the host. The system hums, repaired enough to finish its song. I feel the aftershock in small ways, the way servers ask, before refilling, the way ops checks in with a nod, instead of a directive, the way the tech avoids my eyes out of courtesy, not fear. Dana stands beside me, relaxed now, her tablet dark. They'll write reports, she says quietly. They always do. They should, I reply. That's how it holds. We watch the exit lane where the hostess left earlier, now just another aisle. No one mentions her name. No one needs to. The spotlight steadies white and honest, bathing the podium and the first row equally. I think back to the folded guest list, to the way paper shook when it was asked to lie, and I feel the difference between winning and aligning. Winning would feel loud. This feels precise. You're seated at 12 now, a volunteer says, sheepish, gesturing toward the center. I glance at the table, then at the back where I started. I'm fine here, I say. I can see. She nods, relieved, and moves on. A woman approaches, hand extended. I'm sorry, she says simply. I should have spoken up. You did, I reply, just now. She smiles, grateful for the permission to move forward. The host catches my eye from the stage and inclines his head, a small acknowledgement that costs him nothing and gives me exactly what I need. The room breathes. I let myself notice details I missed before, the faint hum of the lights, the way the spotlight doesn't flare when someone steps into it, the calm that comes from sequence completed. When the light holds steady, silence loses its power. I feel that truth settle, not triumphant, just right. The compliance officer's words echo faintly, precede, hold verbs that describe a world where rules exist to be followed, not bent. I think of the evidence chain, the way each piece waited its turn, and how restraint did the work noise never could. Dana checks her watch. Ready, she asks. Almost, I say. I take one last look at the stage, at the podium that became a witness, at the phones now lowered. A server offers coffee. No thank you, I say. I'm good. As we move toward the doors, I feel the latch release without resistance, the sound lighter than it was hours ago. Outside, the night air is cool and ordinary, the city indifferent to galas and power games alike. You okay? Dana asks as we step onto the sidewalk. Yes, I answer, surprised to find it true. We pause, letting a group pass, laughter spilling into the street. The spotlight inside dims as staff power down, but the steadiness remains, carried now by memory and record. I know what will happen next. Emails, calls, careful language consequences, measured in policies rather than apologies. That's fine. It's how systems learn. I don't need a seat reassigned or a speech made in my honor. I needed the room to tell the truth when asked, and it did. I leave without applause because the proof already stayed behind to do its work. The door closes gently, the latch settling, and the night accepts us back into its unlit honesty, where clarity doesn't need a stage to survive.